Don't Have Me Chance, episode 28.
What's up?
The quarantine continues.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What week is it officially?
Of the quarantine?
Yeah, I've been in it for like ever. So you know what I'm saying, like a year and a half.
Well, I mean, the NBA, I think, shut down.
I think that's when it started officially for me.
Kinda, right? I think that was March 11th. I think it was like Wednesday or something like that. March 11th.
Something like that. Because I went to the game on I went to the the Clippers game. And I can check the schedule real quick. I don't know if it's gonna be ghetto right now. Let me just do that. Just because that's what I'm gonna mark it as.
Yeah. I really don't remember. I think it might have been like the 11th. I went to the grocery store Thursday the 12th.
Yeah, their last game was on the 10th.
Yeah.
Because I went to the game on the 5th, the week before, on that Thursday. Yeah. So I think it was the 11th.
Yeah. I guess mentally I've just kind of done it like in my head. When was the last time I was around like a lot of people? So like the last time I was around a lot of people was Monday, March 16th, where I was at the office, my last day at that office. So since then, yeah, about 2 weeks. 2 weeks by the time people are hearing this on the podcast, or today if they're watching the video. But it's weird. It's like the days blend in, the hours blend together. It's like, I don't know. But I mean, we got a full docket to get people through it.
Yep.
You know, the weird thing about this whole thing for me is like when you look at the amount of people that have actually perished from this, like the amount of people that have died.
Yeah.
So if you look at it like globally, it's crazy. But I've been using this worldometers.info to look at like the global amount of cases, U.S. amount of cases. So according to this, there are just under 140,000 cases in the U.S. and the deaths total just over 2,400. So when you look at like the percentage, it's like, okay, that's less than 2%. Now, if you're looking at it from like a pragmatic standpoint, it's like, well, that's really not all that bad, But the crazy thing is like one person dying from this, some would argue would be too many. So the fact that we've got 2,400 just in America. Now, again, I keep looking at like the mortality rate as peace of mind for myself. Like Italy, it's like 10 plus, and even France is really getting it. I think it's like 15% last I saw there. But I think a lot of it has to do with like the rush of the amount of people that get it all at once,
and
availability of resources
as well.
Like
population
for sure.
And land mass wise. So I mean, obviously even though like we're kind of on that same kind of track or whatever, the numbers are, obviously skewed in that way.
It's just weird. Like if you think about, like I said, like a pragmatic standpoint, all right, 2%, you think, okay, that's not that big of a deal. And people look at the amount of people that get it, really that's what it is. Like if it's going to be 2%, really the amount of people that get it is going to determine how many people actually, perish from it. But it's weird because there's got to be some kind of a tipping point, like at what point, and I think that's why some people, you see the two extremes. You see some that are out there still getting in big groups on beaches, in public places like that. Yeah. And I guess in their head, they're thinking like, I'm not going to be in that 2%, and it's a selfish thought, but that's why they're doing it. Then you got some like, Jock and Gary aren't here today. Jock was getting mad because I was kind of capping a little bit, but like the full get up with like the mask and the gloves and all that, So, what is that tipping point? If 100 people were to get this and 2 died, then they'd say, okay, that's not that crazy. Now, if 100 people got it and 90 people died, that's a far more lethal, although not as, contagious, not as widespreading, but if you look at, like I said, 140,000, 2,500 have died from this. Percentages aren't that crazy. Like, what's that tipping point? I hope everybody didn't listen to this thinking like, oh, Mike's being insensitive. I'm just speaking numbers. I'm not speaking how I truly feel. I'm just saying, like, from a number standpoint, there's something in my head that, like, what is the tipping point when it's too many people that they're like, okay, this is a serious thing?
Well, I think now that they're kind of
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? Like, are you
Well,
saying
I
that
guess what
some
was the
people aren't
tipping
taking it
point?
serious, or?
Well, I mean, I think the seriousness of it has ebbed and flowed throughout. You know,
Right.
the second it broke out in China, everybody kind of keeps an eye, and they're like, "Oh, well, let's watch this." Right? In my head,
Right.
I was like, "Okay, it's China. It's a matter of time before it gets here." Just because of
Right.
how big China is, people travel so much. I had a feeling it would get here. I didn't think it would be as widespread, you know. But then it's like we keep going back and forth between panic and comfort, where it's like, okay, let's lock everything down, let's shut everything down. Now everybody's like, well, when should we open stuff back up? Now you can't do it too soon and get a
Right.
second wave, you know. But I guess in my head, what was the tipping point? What was it when people really realized how serious this was?
Um, I think that the one in the past or whatever. Well, I don't think we've actually really reached the tipping point. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't
and
think
that's
this
the
thing
other
has
thing
actually like
too.
really peaked.
Right. It
Like
definitely
at all.
hasn't.
Like
Not
I
in the
don't think it's peaked
US.
at all. Like yeah, especially here. And like I think I heard today that, and like I said, I think like I don't have any numbers or anything right in front of me, but I heard today that we have like the most like cases or whatever,
Yeah.
like country wise, something like that. Which I mean, like I said, it makes sense because we have like 320, 350 million people, something like that.
Mhm.
And the more people get tested, you know what I'm saying, the more people are gonna have cases. Like I mean,
Right.
that's just like it goes hand in
Confirmed.
hand.
Yeah.
And and what is it like? You said 20? How many deaths is it?
So based on what I saw, it said 140,000 have it, and then 2,438 have passed. So died. Yeah.
That's yeah. I think it's like real shit. Like there's no ain't no like looking to open the country. First of all, I don't even like I don't get the vernacular of people saying like the country's closed or whatever like that. It's
Right.
just like people like you know what I'm saying, like most of the things that I do day to day like are open. You know what I'm saying? Like going to the liquor store
Yeah.
or going to like just like the corner store or something like that, going to the grocery store. I mean, those things are open. Like, like, and yeah, you
Yeah.
can't go to
Well,
work or anything, but I don't think that shit's gonna like let up for a while, man. Like, I
it
think it's gonna
won't.
be, it's the end of March now. I would say we're going into April. I would say, man, this is going to go on into like June, like
Yeah, I mean,
June,
that's kind of what
July.
I've had in my head. Yeah, because you look at China, the first outbreaks were in December, and they didn't really shut things that like it didn't really fade. And I mean, there's still some cases coming in here and there. They're saying they're just import cases, but
Right.
it didn't really fade until March. So I mean, you're looking at a 90-day cycle. And as long as everybody keeps doing what they're supposed to be doing, keep your social distancing, wash your hands thoroughly, all that kind of stuff, we should be able to get through this sooner rather than later. But that's the thing, like not anybody is not, well, I can't say not anybody, but not everybody is cooperating with that. And that's the thing. This isn't something that it's all or nothing. It's not like you
Right.
can say, hey, we've mostly got through this. Let's open up restaurants to letting people sit in again. Let's open up movie theaters. Let's
Why are
open up
people so into the
concerts.
eat at restaurants and shit anyway? Like
I
this
think
is
it's part of it. I kind of miss some of it because it's just like that environment, like being in a different habitat. Like all the things
right,
I like, sports, movies, and
right,
travel. I can't do any of that right now,
right,
unless I'm looking at old stuff that already existed. But part of the travel thing is just being and experiencing, in anything just in a different setting,
yeah.
and now it's like you can't, and there's just something human about we like to do and we like to have what we can't do or
But I
can't have.
mean, can you not? Because like I live in a flight path, and bro, planes are going in and out
Yeah,
the airport every day, and this isn't even an international airport, like not yet,
right,
like Hobby or whatever, like all
right.
these planes, like I live on a pivot, so like I have planes coming in flying like northeast or whatever, and like right before they get to my house, like they'll bank and like start flying like southeast. So like land that hobby and shit, and that shit. I mean, it's clockwork.
Still going.
Day.
I know. I saw it yesterday.
There, like,
yeah. Would you hit me up yesterday?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
that's the thing too. There's so much gray area, and that's the thing. It's if you were to ask me, and maybe I'm dumb. Somebody can at me about. I'm giving you permission to at me about this, but I feel like India had probably the best approach to it, and I mean, we've seen that they keep getting more and more. Well, I don't know about that part, but like, like their philosophy is the philosophy I would have, which is basically, hey, let's pause the video game. Let's shut the shit down 3 weeks, give it an extra week just for cushion. Incubation period's what, 2 weeks, feel symptoms about halfway in. So, I mean, after the first week, most people that have it that are symptomatic, you should know they'll get tested. The ones that are asymptomatic, they may never know, but if they're not encountering if they're not interacting with people for an additional 2 weeks after that, it should kind of run its course, So in my head, let's shut everything down, 3 weeks, no exceptions, strict, don't leave your house unless you're getting groceries, like that's about it. And then after 3 weeks, just from a mathematical standpoint, that should eliminate it. But there's always going to be little leaks.
I think that like I think that the orders, like these stay-at-home orders or whatever they're going out with these cities, like officially or whatever. I don't even think that those are needed. Like people should just use common sense and like because only certain places are open. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't think that we need that, but I do think that we need to shut like air travel down. Like
that's weird to me.
We did it for 19 fucking Saudis with like box cutters, It's like, so I don't understand why we can't do it like for something that's been going on for like I feel like it's been like a month,
Dude,
like really.
I mean, really, it was when I was in Seattle this time last month, and that was the first time it started to kind of get in my head, because I knew it was starting to reach America. I knew some of the cases were reaching. Seattle and that whole area. And I knew I was flying out there, but
I first heard about this back in like November, December. You know what I'm saying? Like out of like the China shit, and like, bro, that was months ago, fam.
Dude,
like
first time
about to go into April, fam. About to go into the second quarter of the year.
Yeah. The first time it landed on my radar, we were in Utah, and I knew that there was this, virus going around in China, but I don't think it was an pandemic at that point. Like, it was just spreading. And I was in Utah, we were at Sundance late January, and Emily just kept, in the morning, we'd kind of do our social, our what do you want to call it? Like your cyber loafing, knock that out, and then we just pretty much didn't touch our phones the rest of the day. Not like we made a commitment, but we just had so many things we were doing. We didn't really even care about it. So in the morning, one of us be showering or whatever, getting ready. We're about to go out for the day. And Emily would be like, geez, look at this virus. And she's showing me these videos of people in the streets in China just like flat out falling over. And I'm like, oh, shit. Because people say you can faint, from the your lungs get...
because you got like a fever and like can't breathe and shit like that. Yeah, you're going to pass out.
She was like, this looks pretty bad. And I was like, yeah, but look, we had SARS. We've had H1N1. We've had all this shit before. Like, it'll run its course and it'll kind of go away. That was late January. Late February, I'm flying to Seattle. This is the first time I'm like, well, it's kind of in my head. Everywhere I go, I'm washing my hands. I'm trying not to touch anything. And, but I was still pretty casual about it. And then you go up until the NBA season halts, and that's when it was like, for me, that was the thing that I was like, oh shit. Like, they were the first major business, the first major commerce to shut shit down. And once they did, then I was like, oh because like I said, there's no in between. It's like you can't have somewhat open doors because it spreads exponentially. You have to shut all the doors down, and the thing is, you can't open them too soon. And then you get your second wave.
That's why I don't understand like how air travel is still going on domestically and internationally, because I mean, even just here in the States, because I feel like they're trying to prolong it, like some type of, like that. Like they
Well,
are kind of like, whoever, like whatever side, you know what I'm saying? All three sides of the coin are using this for like some type of political gain. You know what I'm saying? Because like, why
some
not
might.
shut the airports down? Like,
I don't get it. And I mean, look, you want to keep some of the business, like you said, business as usual. They want the country to open back up for business. You said it's pretty much still going. I guess in their head, this is one way to keep it still going. But I'm with you. I'm like, I'm not flying anywhere. I was looking up, just Googling something about Nashville, just for something work related. And when I
right.
searched it up, it popped up, some Travelocity, whatever, Travelpedia, whatever those shits are, and Expedia. And it said flight to Nashville round trip, $49.
What? Oh,
49. I know. Hey, next episode, damn 29, we're in Nashville. Talking shit
straight
about how we
up.
all need to be staying put and we're all traveling. But
Straight up. Just think you'll probably have the whole plane to yourself.
I mean, really would. I've seen pictures of people on planes where it's like them and then just rows of nobody else, But the thing that would suck about travel, like if you're going somewhere outdoorsy, that's one thing. But if you're going somewhere that's reliant on businesses, restaurants, bars, you're not gonna be able to get out right now. So yeah, so that's another reason why it's like, why travel? Unless I'm flying somewhere like
go visit like
Yosemite
your grandma or something. You know what I'm saying? Like
for
somewhere
sure.
out. Like actually, it'll probably be bad for you to go visit your grandma.
Yeah, don't visit grandma, y'all.
Don't do that. Go visit your cousin or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But not.
We've talked about all these effects. One of the things you've been keeping an eye on was the economic piece of this. The ebbs and flows. We saw just dips in the stock exchange, and now we're seeing that jump back. Now, what I think, you'll have your ebbs and flows, but I think there'll be a big bounce back after all that. We might even dip a little bit more before going back up. But I know you're reaping the benefits from it.
I actually am. And like not even, like big time or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause shit, I'm, what I'm saying, just a regular dude. Like I'm broke and shit. Like I ain't had no job before this shit happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
now you're go getter.
I've been like looking like. Bro, Cash App is like one of the greatest apps like ever. You know what I'm saying? Like for one, like you can do like any type of business through it. Right. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. But two, they have like the stocks. Like you can buy and like trade stocks on there, like buy and sell. So like I've kind of been doing that, and I've been doing it for a while before this happened, and it was just like I put like $1 here, $1 there. But then after like the shit started dipping, like I started like looking at the share prices and things, and I was like, well, you know what? I could buy like at least a share in like something, or you know what I'm saying, like something like that. But I would never buy the whole shares. But until like I found that they actually have like there's Canadian cannabis companies on there that like they deal in recreational and medical or whatever. And I found this one that was like, like real low, like share prices. I think it was like maybe like $10 a share, $9 a share, something like that. So I put like $10 in there, something like that. Got like a little share. Then I found this other one that was like 75 cents a share, and I was like, dude, wait, what? So I put like, I bought several shares, you know what I'm saying? Like it's the first thing that I've ever like bought, ownership of like, the full thing. And that's actually been jumping up like crazy. Yeah. I mean, it fluctuates up and down, like every day during the week, but like it's been like catching it at that 75 cents, bro. I've been seeing like a lot of good things from that shit. So like I've been kind of having like an economic upturn, like you said, man. Like it's been like lovely, you know what I'm saying? And like I said, I ain't put like a lot of money in there. Like I don't have a lot of money to put in there, but I put like a little bit of change, like something to like where I could see something, Right. It's been pretty good. I've been liking the returns I've been getting.
I delved a little bit based on your recommendations. So I threw some change here and there, put some into the ones that I don't think are going to have huge gains, but just gradual gains over time, trusted companies. And that's where the diversification comes in, like this one isn't going to get me money hand over fist overnight, but I'm just going to gradually see increases over time because I'm going to keep it in there. It's the long game, you know?
Yeah,
But
for
then you go
sure.
with some like you said, like, hey, I found this one. This one may be a little bit riskier, a little bit more erratic. Hey, diversify. Let me get in on that too. So I spread some of that out. And I think that's one thing that people really have to do right now. I think a lot of people are just living in fear. A lot of people are living in this, you know, almost like an apocalypse shelter. People are kind of treating their homes like that, stocking up on food and all this kind of stuff. And look, it's good to be precautious. It's good to be careful, but I'd say don't live in fear. I would say this is an excellent time, you know, to pick up that project that you've been putting off. You know, let's say there's a blog you wanted to start. That
Everyone should be in their creative bag.
Say you've been wanting to write a book or something like that. Start working on that. Let's say, you know, there's a room in your house that is a mess, but you're like, oh, I want to make a Pinterest project out of this shit. Get to it. You know, this is a great time for people to practice mindfulness. This is a great time to really know who you are, work on the things that you've been putting off, and focus on that. Look, we cannot control how this thing spreads. We cannot control if it gets worse or better. All we can do is our part. Do the whole Belichick, do your job thing, you know? So don't focus on what everybody else is doing. Don't worry about it. If you see somebody doing wrong in the street, you know, hey, I'd recommend you do this, but don't lose sleep over it. And I think so many people just stress it and get pissed and they're outraged. We talk about outrage culture all the time, right? Yeah. Just do your thing, you know, do your thing, but make use of this time because you're never going to get this. This is not, I mean,
this is never going to happen again.
Wood, you know, we say this will never happen again. At least it hasn't happened in our lifetimes.
Right.
Where the country just basically just kind of shuts down, you know, like the world kind of freezes.
The world.
Use this time.
For real. Utilize it as, I mean, I haven't been in my credit bag as I should have, but like, I've been doing like a lot of different stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like diversifying my time and shit. Like, I mean, this is like I said, it's great for me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I love been listening to a lot of music, watching a lot of movies and shit. Like, it's just good.
Speaking of, I know you had some movies. See, here's my thing. Like, I'm a podcast person. And it's funny because I want to work from home. This has always been what I've wanted to do, and now I'm doing it. But the funny thing is you find like some of the little habits that change. Like I listen to the podcasts on the way into work. Now I don't have that automatic hour built in every day that I used to. Right. So I'm like, got to find different ways to get that hour into my routine. And the thing is too, like some content creators are killing it and some are still just kind of like, what do I do with this? You know, like we looked at the actual podcast listens for last week. Were like really low, but a bunch of people watch the video. Now, I don't know if that means that people watch the video instead of the podcast, or if it's we kind of need video now because nobody's listening to podcast. I mean, I don't have a big enough sample size to look at, but everybody's just kind of trying to make sense of all that.
I kind of find myself actually not listening as long because there's so much there's so much content. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, like, you know, it is cutting into time, even though it's weird because we have so much more time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I guess, like, we're getting so much more content. So, like, it's, you know, going away. I don't know. It's weird, man. This is a weird time. But a lot of people have been taking advantage of this. I would say, like people like Andrew Schulz, who were recording, you know, I think he was recording once or twice a week, as well as, you know, doing his stand-up and, you know, all his other endeavors and stuff like that. But dude has been recording like at least 30 minutes every day, like for like Corona podcast. You know what I'm saying? Like, like earlier this year, he like, you know, already like built him out of space for like studio and everything like that. So like he kind of came into like this like perfectly. I mean, a lot of people like the good content creators are using this like great. Like Joe Budden's been like on fire. Like we had a something on the docket. I don't even want to talk about that, bro. Joe Budden, they literally put everything in perspective for me yesterday, bro. I swear to God. Like when they like were deep diving into the Party Next Door new record or whatever. everything is like literally that I was thinking about it and stuff. They put it into perspective. They told the entire truth on that, and like this is great. Charlemagne has been pretty good out here. I mean, Pat McAfee, even with no sports going on, like
Right.
it's been great. Joe Rogan, as usual, you know what I'm saying? Like he's getting us like conspiracy nuts going and shit. Like this shit's been fun, man.
Well, the Netflix circuit, I mean, obviously it's getting a lot of work. I've had to restart my shit several times because
I saw a meme that said when you finish Netflix. I was like,
yeah, I finished Netflix. I mean, hey, I feel like that might be true for some people though, because every time I go on, it's slow as shit at first. You know, like people are just taxing that server. But I mean, the things that have popped up this week, you know, Ozark started Friday the 27th. Now, I've always watched that show. Season 1, good but not great. Season 2, holy shit, like this show's really picking up. So far 3's been good, but I'm in that stage now where I'm like, all right, let me not waste it all. You know, let me not burn through this show all at once because
right.
I don't know how long this is gonna last. You know, I kind of want
Right.
to space it out. You know, I want to ration it a little bit.
Because I know, like,
But the other one that,
like, what's gonna happen when we run out of shit to do? Like, you know, of the
like, if this shit goes on,
nothing to do.
imagine if this shit goes on like 2 years, and we're like, and whoever's president at that time, whether it's still Trump or it's somebody else, is like, yeah, we're ready to open the country again pretty soon. And we're like, man, I just watched Breaking Bad fourth time over. Like, what do I watch now? You know, we need.
What if we get so used to this, we just like, yeah, we good, fam. Which I think
straight.
is going to happen, bro. I think this is like kind of what they're gearing us up to be like.
You know,
this is like the prequel to Wall-E.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really, like, I wonder too, like, what effects are going to carry over from this. You know, you look at just anytime there's like a major change in life, it creates opportunities. I mean, think about unemployment, right? Unemployment specifically. A bunch of people are unemployed right now, you know, because of this. But it's kind of weird because the unemployment office had to hire a bunch of people because of the influx of people that needed to file unemployment.
Grocery stores are doing great now. Kind of like, you know, like go get you a job at a grocery store, man. Like they're paying people more and everything.
Charmin's over there thinking Cash Money Millionaire, living good, living real good.
Yeah, like a lot of these manufacturers are retooling their tools, you know, to like put out masks and, you know, ventilators and respirators or what people need and shit like that. I mean, this is like, there's good and bad in everything. And obviously there's a lot of bad because there's, you know, death and shit like that. And we don't have any type of treatment or, you know what I'm saying? We kind of really don't know what to do with the actual like viral disease or whatever. But it's actually, it shows you not just even in America, I would say like the world, how we can like how people evolve, you know, like how we can kind of, I don't know, we adapt to a lot of different shit, man. Like
humans are very resilient.
Yeah, like it's crazy, man. Like why are people still on cruise ships? I saw like
I've been wondering that. Why? They're not great anyway, and people are just sitting there breathing in circulated air, farts, coronavirus disease. I mean, nah, I'm good, man.
Why, man? Why? Another thing that you know, would be like great right now, and like I used to do this shit, like you know, like I would take like random trips to like Louisiana and just like go like sit at the river, you know what I'm saying, for like an hour and then just drive back and shit like that.
Yeah,
like, that'd be fun to do right now, bro. Like,
man,
no traffic.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I was thinking about doing day trips, like go ride out to. I mean, that's the thing, though, because some of the places like Louisiana, Galveston, these are places that have had recent outbreaks and they've spread pretty heavy. So it's like, well, I don't know if I want to go there. But again, it's right back in your head. Like,
but I mean, like, you kind of choose around. I was just using that as an example because, like, before.
No, I agree with you. Because I was saying, like, I wouldn't mind waking up.
Drive out the EP right now?
No, nobody on the roads. But that's what I was talking about. Like, I was thinking if I wanted to just go to, I don't know, like a College Station or Austin or something that's like kind of hill country-ish, just to see the vibes, or really like if I wanted to go get, let's say I go to like a farmer's market or something like that.
Just to be away from more people. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly. So I'm with you. I'm actually with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down for real. You and M, Jamal, we could all link up, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's go take a trip, bro. Pitch a tent.
Hey, so before we forget about the content creators, one of the things I forgot to talk about is what everybody's talking about right now. You know, I saw this meme and it was like, imagine if somebody just like knocked out, they woke up, you know, they're like, hey, so, you know, all the memes talking about how it all started in 2016, how it's like, hey, so Trump's president. Remember the guy from The Apprentice? He's president now. There was this gorilla that got shot in a zoo, you know. Now all of a sudden there's this weird virus, you know. Tom Brady left the Patriots, the MCU, you know, all kind of came to a close. Oh, and by the way, the one saving grace that everybody can get on the same page about is a Tiger King.
Yeah.
So that's where I was going with that long-winded build-up.
What's really weird is, like, why did we drop the ball on voting him for president? We were, like, trying to, like, stay away from, we were busy choosing the lesser of two evils, bro, when we could have had, like, the best of all good in Joe Exotic, bro. Come on, man. You got a gay, gun-toting, redneck dude with a mullet that loves animals? Come on, fam. Like,
so I'm still not finished with it. I think I'm 5 episodes in, and everybody
only watched 5, and I was just like, yeah, this is too much.
You're like, yeah,
but it's great. It's great. Well, I love it.
It's funny because I had somebody come over the other day. We had a friend come through, and she was like, hey, let's watch something. So we put on Tiger King. She said, oh, I think I've heard of this. What's it about, though? And I was like, boy, let me tell you. I was like, it's actually not that complex. It is. And then I found myself like 5 minutes in, like, damn, this shit is complex. Like, I don't know what the fuck it's about. Like, it's about everything. Starts out, hey, this guy gets arrested for attempted murder or whatever. And then you're like, what? And then it's like, he's got 180, you know, big game animals and cats. And the lady that's an activist trying to shut him down does the exact same thing, just has like her own thing. Like, we're freeing them. They just put them in tiny ass little cages. You got the dude from that's been in like Ace Ventura movies with all his tigers and shit, who has multiple wives.
Yeah.
People might be killing each other. The dude accidentally kills himself. Like,
they all have like slave labor.
Yeah. Eating raw, like expired meat on the meat truck. Man, like, so what is it about? It's about Joe Exotic. That's all I can really say. But if you haven't watched, you're behind on the times, listeners.
Yo, for real, if our listeners, anyone ain't heard of this, like, come on, like, you gotta get with it. I remember actually, like, during the election time, like 2015 2016 time, seeing the John Oliver show, because me and Chloe used to watch that shit like religiously. You know what I'm saying? Like John Oliver, I still do actually. Whenever he's on, and I remember seeing, like, you know, like the little bit that they showed on him, and like we thought that was funny and shit, but like, you know, no one took it serious. And like I said, bro, we were like trying to like choose between the less of two evils, bro. Like, you know, like why did Jill Stein get all the like glory from the third party? You know what I'm saying? We could have had Joe Exotic, bro. That would have been perfect. Like,
Joe Exotic,
we probably wouldn't even be like dealing with this shit right now.
Big Cat Joe, basically.
Yeah, but that's a crazy life, fam. Like to think about like how those people do that shit, like, cause they're all weird. You know what I'm saying? Like,
all weird.
It's like, you know how like cat ladies, like, you know, like there's always like a cat lady on the block. You know what I'm saying? Like, she always has like 100 cats or something like that, or they, you know, like always. Like, you know, she feeds them and shit like that. Like, that's like them on steroids. Like,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because they're big.
No, it is. Yeah, sitting there with cheetahs and shit. He's driving around. There's one scene where he's got like a tiger in the front seat of the car. He's singing to it and shit.
Dude, and then the coldest dude is the dude in Vegas. That like
Which one?
he's the one that like took over or whatever.
Jeff.
Like, yeah, that dude, cause he like does.
He wears a bandana with the hat.
He like he smashes all the chicks that they bring up.
Yeah,
him and his girlfriend, bro. That's wild,
crazy.
Bro.
Yeah, he did. That's right.
Hey, all right, I'm telling y'all, hey, bros, if y'all girls went to fucking Vegas, something on a girls trip,
don't let him go see
y'all
the
see
cat.
those pictures of him petting them tigers. Y'all already know what's going on.
You know what's crazy about all this? Back to the virus stuff is how you hear like big names that are getting it, and it's almost kind of like this is almost like what it would probably feel like in the real world if like Infinity War did happen. Like, oh shit, did you see somebody got snapped away? Like, oh shit,
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about sports, right? So the sports effects of this. James Dolan, the Knicks owner, he got it.
Right.
Like what? And I mean, there's plenty of jokes about that itself.
I think somebody should have gave that shit to him because he ought to sell the fucking Knicks, bro.
Everybody hates him. I know now you're going to hear a bunch of like, now look, the right thing to say, I hope he gets better. I hope he gets through it. But it's sad to say, I know a lot of Knicks fans are probably happy. You got people that do have it, like Idris Elba. Man, he better fight through. He seems fine. He was asymptomatic, so I hope he fights through. Right. Then you got people that are afraid of it. So the one I'm talking about now in mind is R. Kelly. R. Kelly trying to make a case
Him
to
and
get out of jail.
trying to pull that shit off, bro.
Bro.
They tried to get out. I saw a meme. It was like, oh, he'd be okay with it if it was COVID-15.
Yeah, I saw that. COVID-15. R. Kelly.
But speaking of scared people, what's up with like, we know some scared people, man. Like Jock.
Yeah, if anybody's like, where's Jock? I feel like he's probably getting tested right now just to be safe. If anybody's curious. Nah, he got mad, but like, I was kind of messing with him. But I mean, it's true though. It's like, I don't want this thing, but at the same time, I'm sure if I get it, I'll be fine. But again, it comes back to that, like, what's the tipping point? Like, at what point should I be like, holy shit? The funny thing is, you keep looking back, like you said, months ago, like, oh man, like I kind of remember this thing then, but think about what you know now versus a month ago. The scary thing is, imagine if we're saying that a month from now.
Right.
Like, hey, remember how we thought everything was peaches and cream a month ago? Shit. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe we peak tomorrow and then it's just all downhill from here.
So it's like the monthly thing. So me and you were talking off air, like texting. Well, I was just like, shooting you ideas. We always, shoot the shit or whatever. But I was telling you about how like I want to document.
Yeah, tell your idea.
So I want to come up with this project called like the Chronicles of 12 Hunna. Like the Chronicles of Narnia, but the Chronicles of 12 Hunna. The Chronicles of 12 Hunna. And I want to document people from the day, or people can self-document, like on their phones or whatever, from the day that they get their money, however they get it, direct deposit, check, whatever the fuck. And I want to do like the different, like, like the single person that gets like just the 1,200, that has like, a job that doesn't, that, they can't work right now or whatever. I want to document them over 30 days. And then I want to document someone like that's married, that's getting like 2,400, and someone that's getting, like the extra with the kids and shit like that, and just see how far that this government relief takes us. You know what I'm saying? Like takes like an average person or whatever. I think that would be fun. Or for a lot of people to actually like self-document. You know what I'm saying? Like something that could start like on Twitter. Or, what I'm saying, like with a hashtag or something. And then, like, at the end of it, we all just, like, put it together and chop it up and, like, follow kind of, like, the interesting stories, you know what I'm saying? Like, to see, like, like, oh, did someone make good of their, you know what I'm saying? Like, relief? Or did someone just, like, 2 days later, they were fucking broke as shit, just like they were, before. And I think that would be that'd be pretty fun to document, to see.
For sure. I mean, you could make it a podcast because I mean, We talked about
And
what
just
we're gonna
take
do.
callers.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be fun,
I mean,
man.
because everybody's gonna have a very different approach, like you said. Like I think we both said we're just saving that shit. Like let me save it and worry about
I
it
know
later.
at least half of it for sure is going directly to savings.
But some
Whether
people
it's
like
in the
need it.
mattress or in the, I know some people need it now. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I see YouTube comments and shit like that. Like people like,
Yeah,
dude, I don't know what I'm gonna eat. Like,
yeah, shit. Get you 1,200 ramen.
how are you not like? You know what I'm saying? Like, but I understand people live check to check, man. Some people have to eat it like fucking Taco Bell and shit every day.
Yeah,
Fuck is that?
Well, it's like you said, like this impacts everybody differently, and I like being at home. I mean, I like being out, but I mean, I'm fine being home. So it hasn't really driven me crazy. The one thing that we talked about that sucks, like let's say we're shooting the shit on a Friday night, and then I'm like, hey, let me come through. Let's just chill, drink for a while, maybe go out afterwards. Like that's gone. So I hate that spontaneous aspect is gone. But the other thing you pointed out, this big, you brought this up to me, is that FOMO's gone now.
It is. FOMO is completely gone, man. That's great.
It really, you know, it's like
you can just
what
look
do you,
at Instagram Live to see everyone doing the same thing you're doing. Looking at
that's the
Instagram
crazy thing.
Live.
Everybody's doing the exact same thing. You know, everybody just sitting at home. You know, even like if you watch ESPN or any of these big networks where there's shows, they're doing the same shit we're doing. Like it looks the exact same. I mean, granted, slightly better quality, I'm sure, but
Right.
it's like it's weird. It's like you said, that FOMO aspect of like, there's no way that you're getting on social media right now.
Yeah, like
watching,
we're recording
like,
this on Sunday. It's probably out on Monday. But like last night, bruh, nothing. Like I sat here, had a few drinks here, like
right.
like just hung out, didn't like really call anyone. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you guys doing? Like drunk call like that. It's just like, like Ray called me last night. I'm pretty sure he was drunk. At like 3:07, whatever. But I was asleep. I found myself. I've been going to sleep early too, bro. Like actually like going to bed.
Yeah, actually
Like
sleeping.
this past week, like I've been like going to bed at like like a good 12 o'clock or whatever. Like maybe waking up at like 9:30. Like actually getting up and showering and what I'm saying, like helping my mom with breakfast, all kind of shit, bro.
Yeah, like it's weird. It's like I mean, even using the Avengers snap parallel, you see some that were like fine with it, kind of like Tony Stark had a wife and kids. He's like, I'm good, And then like the Hulk, he's like finally back on Earth, and he's like out and about in public, like renowned, and he's like, I'm good. It's like some people, there will be benefits from this, despite all the bad and despite all the, what's crazy going on in the world, but there are silver linings for some, and some people kind of see this as like that wake up moment. This is kind of like, shit, man, like we are not vulnerable. I think we all know individually we're vulnerable. You can go outside right now and walk in the middle of the street and somebody might not see you and bloop, hit you with a car or something like that. Like little everyday things that you have to be conscious of so that you don't have a crazy accident. But I think we always have that security in the back of our heads of like, okay, but as a country, we're good. We never really have many worries about war.
I think that this is the best wake up call for us as a country. Like
it gives everybody,
because those are those people that are fucking truck people that are like, we're America, we're so great and shit like
the
that.
nationalists.
Like, these motherfuckers sick right now.
This thing is not racist at all. This virus goes after everybody.
It don't see no borders, no wall, nothing, bro.
It might not like Italian people. I mean, no jokes. I don't know what's going on there. That I'm guessing it's just all at once is why. But that's part of what kind of worries me too. We're talking about a percentage standpoint. Like, all right, well, just under 2%. I can live with that. I'm not saying I could live with 2% of people getting it, dying, but like I'm not gonna stay up at night worried for my own safety. But 10%, 10%. I mean,
but isn't New York's number kind of like that though? Like as like New York City?
Let me pull it up. So I know New York, they've definitely gotten it the most. They're what people call the epicenter of the U.S. outbreak. Right. But if you're looking at state by state, so let me go right back to this worldometers.info. According to this, 60,000 people have it. Just about. Like just shy of 60,000 in New York. As far as total deaths,
there's about 8 million people there, right?
Maybe even 10 to 12. Now this is New York State though, so
New York State? Okay.
I don't know if it breaks down into city. It might, but out of 59,500 getting it, 965 died. So I mean that actually is kind of. So that is about. Well, I thought it was more than that. Still 1.6, but. Still a lot, though. I mean, like I said, like the tipping point, like one person dying from this is enough to say, shit, we need to figure out how to solve this problem.
Right.
It's just weird. It's weird. It's
and the thing is, it's an insolvable problem right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
I mean, the like doctors and the researchers, man. Like, God bless those guys, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, there are like, you know, people at the CDC and shit, like. Working like nonstop and shit to like trying to figure out it's like something that could counteract this shit and get it out to people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the hardest hit places and shit because people like dropping left and right to something that they can't see. Bro, that's like the scariest shit in the world, fam. You know what I'm saying?
Because you don't even know. Like, you don't know. You know, it's crazy. I mean, we don't even know if we have it. I'm pretty sure we don't at this point, you know, asymptomatic. It's been a couple weeks. I mean, but you never know, right? You never know. Right. But the crazy thing is, say that we're fortunate we don't have it. We know we don't have it, whatever. Think about how close you've come to it. Like if you were able to track, you know, somebody that has it and the paths they've crossed, the things they've touched that spread it to somebody else, it would be eerie, but I would love to see like the spread of it. To see if I've come like this close to it, you know what I mean? Or like a place that I frequent, somebody had it and touched something, and instead of going this day, I decided not to. Like, had I gone, you know? Now that shit'll keep you crazy, but it's that's what I'm like most kind of curious about, honestly.
Like, what if it was like lingering on one of those like lemon juice packs at Panera or some shit like that, and like you grab that one, like you just.
I know the one. I know. I've thought of that a lot. Like, and I'm one of those people. Here's what I don't get though. I'm one of those people. I've always washed my hands a lot. I've always maintained good hygiene. Right. You know, Jock joked around about showers last week. He's always been somebody I know that showers all the time. We're not really doing things that we don't already do. I guess the point that I'm making with that is, why can't we all always practice good hygiene? Like, why is it like we need an awful global pandemic that's taking out, you know, tens of thousands of people for people to realize, like, we should probably wash our hands a little bit better.
Right. Yo, it was funny. I was listening to Joe Budden yesterday, and they were talking about the toilet paper thing. And Maul, one of the guys on there, he was like, "Yo, like wet wipes, they still like right there, son. Like, why am I not getting the wet wipes? They way better."
That is true. Wipe that shit off, man. Well, and you know the funny thing, you look at the second this started breaking out. One of the other things that was kind of eye opening for me was when you started seeing like the big companies come out and like. Make a statement like, oh, here's what we're doing in response to COVID-19.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of those emails.
A lot of those. But some of them are just like, we clean our restaurant. All of our associates are told to wash their hands.
You're supposed to do that.
Yeah, you should be doing that all the time. You want me to give you an award for that? Just keep doing it.
For real. Like, this is really like, for me, I think that this is just showing like how stupid humans are. You know what I'm saying? Like as like a whole. You know what I mean? Like because the people that are like really like panicking, like panicking. You know what I'm saying? Like and the people that like you know that are like, oh fuck it, like they're all kind of like in the same boat. You know what I'm saying? Like a like level of stupidity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, they're all the parents of Tide Pod eaters. Pretty much. You know the one thing, like, you're unaffected by this, well, because like you're growing your hair out anyway, but like
I
I
actually
feel
got
like,
a haircut the other day. I had a taper.
okay, tell me how, because I'm
Well,
like
my barber,
Caucasians
he has
everywhere.
a chair. He's my personal barber. He's my friend or whatever. Like, I smoke weed with him every day. His
See, and
parents live across the street.
that's kind of like a cultural thing, right? Like I feel like Black and Hispanic communities are probably fine. I feel like I've never really seen like an Asian person with like out of control unkempt hair. Like I don't know that. I think of like they always have nice tidy hair. But like Caucasian people, white people probably struggling right now. I don't know what to do about a haircut. I'm wearing a hat because I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to, a public place to go get my haircut right now. And I'm like, if I had, white people don't have like a barber in their back pocket to hit up, be like, hey, I'm gonna come get chopped up at your spot, like
Right.
Caucasian people are facing
I was
another
real
crisis
lucky
right now.
to actually have like this dude or whatever. Like he lives a block away from me. He has a chair, like a barber's chair. Like he actually has a shop, like like a room in his house dedicated or whatever. That's like a shop or whatever. And he works out of that. You know what I'm saying? Like I just hit him up. I was like, hey, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Let me get a chop or whatever. He was actually at his parents' house, like right across the street. He's just like, all right, come on, like, let's walk down there. I was like, bet. Hell yeah. And like I was telling him actually, I was like, he should like restructure his marketing, like use this, you know what I'm saying? So he can make money or whatever, and just tell people like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm only scheduling like every like hour and a half. You know what I'm saying? So like I'll have a 3 o'clock and then like a 4:30. Right. Because like I said, he only has his one chair. He's the only person in there that's shopping. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm like, bro, it's easy for you to, you know what I'm saying? Like make your money rather than like we were with his homie yesterday that actually has a shop on Dolan or Emancipation or whatever, and he was telling us like, he can't work. He's like the exact opposite. You know what I'm saying? Because he works in a shop. You know what I'm saying? So like it's weird, like, you know what I'm saying, the dynamic or whatever in people that, the have and the have nots, I guess. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, like guys like him, he's good. Like if you need a chop, I'll let him know. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I need to hit him up. I'm telling you, man. Hey, here's a message to all maybe sheltered. I don't want to generalize, white people, but get in touch with your brother friends, your Hispanic friends that might have a barber to chop you up. Because I mean, otherwise you could be all over the place, and I don't want that.
Like a lot of people like. My barbers are usually like my friend. I usually have like their personal numbers. Like even if like, you know what I'm saying, I meet them through the shop or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like because your barber is somebody you gotta like trust. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you can't just go to anybody or whatever.
You gotta be selective with who cuts your hair.
Right. And like even like you, matter of fact, speak of the devil, he's passing by right now. What's up? Like you go to some places like, a franchise, spot. Right. But like you're, you know what I'm saying? Like on some type of like personal level, like with your barber, like, like whoever you have.
It's important, man.
Whether you went through like 3 of them, you know what I'm saying? Since you started going to that shop, like you probably have all 3 of those people's numbers. They probably have their own set of clippers. You know what I'm saying? Like, if people are staying sanitized and, you know what I'm saying? Like staying clean as possible, it's not a problem. But I do understand like the gathering, like in shops and things like that. So like stay away from shops. But if you got someone, if you're as lucky as me, you know what I'm saying, that, like has someone that, has like their own space that are clean, that you can trust, you know what I'm saying, go for that, man. Like hit them up.
Reach out.
Reach out to them because they're probably waiting, because a lot of people, like he was saying, he was like, a lot of people haven't been hitting me too at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, I haven't been getting a lot of business, but like the ones that you know what I'm saying, like, oh yeah, he good, like I guess like I would probably say like the ones that like get them and like their 3 kids haircuts, you know what I'm saying, like they probably don't want to go because that's too many people in one spot, you know what I'm saying.
I think a lot of it is like people are probably like, we've talked about it throughout this podcast. I think a lot of people are like, what can I or can't I do? Like, what's smart? What isn't smart? What shouldn't I do? Like, what's the tipping point? What's that threshold? I feel like next week we need to have like a do's and don'ts.
We should. Like we should actually. We should.
COVID-19 do's and don'ts.
We should like list that. Like, yeah, make that list because there's gonna be a lot of them. But it's a lot of stuff you can do out here, man. Like, I don't understand why people tripping. You know, like with that, and then like why people tripping on like even staying in. Like, there's a lot of things you can do at home. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these people don't like their families, bro.
Yeah. It's funny. It's actually, I feel like it's been fine for me. Like, I haven't been, going crazy with my home spot. Like,
have you been back and forth like to your parents or anything?
Nah. They've been inviting me, but I'm like, I'm actually good. Like, my mom's been getting mad. Like, hey, we got food. Y'all want to come over? I'm like, nah, not really. I'm good. Not even for any specific reason other than I'm just like, I think I'm just good. Like, I'm chilling at home. Yeah. I'm satisfied right now.
All right.
But random thoughts. So I wrote one down. I feel like I've always hated when people do stupid shit, like just in general, but especially when people cheers food. You ever see that? Well, people were like tap pizza slices. I feel like I've had this on the
we did talk about this last week because you were like, it's real bad now, actually. Because
it was on the docket. I don't know if I got to it, but I just feel like I had to say that.
Get to that one on the pod.
Don't tap food, like. Anyway, because that's stupid, but especially not right now. That was just one random thought I had that I had to get off my chest.
I mean, people, a lot of these things that people do, like nowadays, like I'm glad, like, aren't you glad you ain't got to go to like no more like baby reveals and like gender reveals or whatever like that, like you know what I'm saying, like stupid shit like that. I'm glad that that's just getting like a slowdown so we can kind of forget about shit like that.
Yeah, I needed a break from weddings. Y'all know everybody jokes about Emily and I go.
You go to a wedding every week, bro. You literally go to like 52 weddings a year, for real.
We had I think it was 2016. We went to like 14 weddings, no exaggeration. And they kind of like faded. They kind of slowed down a little bit. But like for whatever reason, the last year they've started picking back up. I think it's like all the people that we went to, their younger siblings are starting to get married now. So I'm like, hey, I'm cool with the break.
The people that caught the fucking bouquet, shit like that.
Yeah, basically, the ones that were fighting to catch it, whether they actually caught it or not. You always see those people at the wedding people, like the people that are so like obvious about, oh, I don't want to catch the bouquet, don't get any ideas, like winking at their girlfriends, and then like the girls out there that are the garter, I guess, and then you'll see like the guys out there or the girls out there that are like just knocking people over to catch it, like they think that makes a difference.
Last wedding I went to, my friend Star, Marcus, she had threw it was at one of those, fucking truck places out there in like San Antonio, like where it's like outdoorsy and like they have like one of those antler fucking chandeliers and shit like that.
Oh hell yeah.
The bouquet, it got caught in the antler chandelier. And so like I'm pretty, I'm 6'3" or whatever, so I had to like stand on a chair to like get it off. And when I dropped it, bro, like they were still like fighting over it. I swear
like counts, like that counts.
I was like, it's coming from me, fam. Like,
I know. They're like, oh shit, you trying to get married, Chance?
Hell no. That shit was funny though. Like I just dropped it, bro, and they were still like fighting over it. Like y'all tripping.
So we have some random thoughts. This one's random, but it's also deep. And we're not going to get into it today because I haven't done thoughts on it or had thoughts on it. I haven't done thoughts.
Let's get into it now.
I haven't made a list on it, but, right now I feel like people are looking for do's and don'ts. Like, what can they or can't they do? What should they or shouldn't they do? But I think some of that, too, is like, what can they or can't they watch? What should they watch? Kind of like recommendations, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is a good time to go back and binge. It's a good time to go answer like big questions or like big debates. One of which could be like MCU, right? Like which movie, like your rankings, like how would you rank them or what order would you watch them in? So I think we need to have like a future segment on like our own personal rankings for the MCU movies, but also how to kind of go about watching.
A lot of them I actually need to go back and watch. Like I need to go back and see like Iron Man 2 and like Ragnarok. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, because some of them I was like, yeah, because I'm not huge on them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
like like I'm not that big on them. Like I enjoy them and shit like that. But like it's some of them, it's like, let me tie them in because with the Avenger ones, like they make more sense to me, kind of than the one-offs. You know what I'm saying? Because like the stories, they kind of tie in. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of they mean more. If that makes any sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's like a little bit more at stake. You know what I'm saying? Which obviously,
and they do a good job of like spreading it out.
War in Endgame, you know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
Like that was the best thing out of the decade. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the other thing too, when you look at like the individual movies, I mean, we know studios don't have the budget, and it just doesn't you can't have a standalone movie with everybody in there. But like from a realistic standpoint, they never really got around why the other Avengers weren't part of the one-offs. Like once the threat seemed insurmountable, you know, like again, we get it. We know you're not going to have it.
I want a Terrence Howard like fucking War Machine. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, story. I want that.
You know, what'd be funny is if they did, and they did like a multiverse or even like, so Sean Connery had this. I think it was it Live and Let Die or one of those. He made one movie like a James Bond movie, like after Roger Moore, like after he was like retired from being Bond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where he made like the one-off, or maybe it was like Never Die Alone, or what? Not Never Die Alone, whatever it was, like Never Say Never, whatever it was. But it was like that random one-off that they were like, oh, this isn't canon, but like, sure.
Never Die, just got Never Die Alone. Yeah. DMX, that's the best movie ever, bro.
It really is.
Highly recommended. Highly recommended, people.
I agree. 100%.
Never Die Alone, for real.
Never Die Alone.
You king? Don't look like Prince, motherfucker.
Dude, that movie's classic. Everybody should watch that. You know, but speaking with like MCU, the other thing too, and this is really the last thing I had on my mind, or the last thing we had on the docket. The interesting thing about the MCU, you know, you're not the biggest fan of MCU. I'm a fan, but like, you know, I feel like I'm probably a big fan, but even I'm not like super duper duper fan compared to some people. Right. But I think where I'm going with this is it's over, you know. Now that we're in the deep shit corner.
The new phases are going to be as
I mean it's going to be like,
for one, I feel you. I know exactly what you're trying to say. For one, I think that the highly CG movies like should be phased out or whatever. Yeah. Hold on, I'm getting the decline. Someone's calling me. I think that those movies should fade out because we've seen, you know, like success with Joker, and you know, like we could, you know, like Jesus Christ, stop calling me. Yeah, like, well, you know, like we've seen movies that like we don't have to have like, they don't have to be like all this extravagant. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to be highly CG. We don't need $300 million movies. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
We don't.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, actually, it's kind of funny that you bring that shit up. I was watching some like old blaxploitation movies and shit like that, like Foxy Brown or some shit like that. And like, bro, everything is so like either over exaggerated or under exaggerated.
Yeah.
Like how they film stuff. Why? That's an art, fam. Like that shit's funny, like in itself. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to make a blaxploitation movie, bro. Like for real. Like
we should,
just like an exploitation movie. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
like,
yeah, because I think
kind of like how Quentin Tarantino did, and you know Robert Rodriguez or Guillermo del Toro, or whatever, do their shits. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that shit'll be fun, bro.
Yeah, I want to make movies. And I guess to the MCU thing, I guess now that I found my words better, it's complete and that's sad, but it's also something you can look back and like, okay, I appreciate what it was in its entirety, like completion. I'm one of those people. I'm always, very much like an idealist. Like if I'm not in the ideal state, I'm gonna do what I can to be in the ideal state. Especially like if it's in my power. Like, oh, I'm not a billionaire. Like, okay, that's in my power, but I can't make that happen overnight. But I find it hard to watch like lesser works or whatever when there's like a better one, right? And it always makes it sad when you look at like, okay, I don't think they can really top what they did before. I don't think they could really reach that plateau. But there's something to the completion of a narrative that there, like there's a certain amount of beauty to it. Whether it's that, even sports. You look at Brady and Belichick. That's over. They can both continue winning titles, but the days of them doing it together, that's over. Like that's not going to happen again. So you look back nostalgically and kind of sad, like, man, that great, the them doing great together is over. But you could still look back on it fondly and appreciate for what it was, like
right.
This is a good time to kind of look back on like the past and like completion of stories, not dwelling on them, but just like admiring what it was for what it was when it was there, and just kind of seeing it and saying that's not going to happen again. But you know what? Like there were some great scenes in that movie, in that whole story. There were some not so great scenes, but I could look back almost like an album, and run it back, listen to it again and get that whole story again. And there's just something to the completion of something that just kind of has like a, you just kind of move on. I think we can look back at this once this is over, obviously not looking at every part of it fondly, like the people that have died or even just not died, but been severely impacted by this, but looking at some of the good and just being fond of like, man, I really miss having that one-on-one time, chilling in the room with my dog all the time, 24/7, literally my dog, but also hanging with my dogs, Skype and shit like that, just a different way to communicate. But just a long-winded way of me saying, like, just like all things, this will come to an end, and we can look at the positive aspects of it and appreciate that. We can look at the negative aspects of it and learn from it, but there's always something to be said about like the completion of a narrative. So that's my long soliloquy. My bad.
Nah, man, that was great. Like, yeah, but you're right about that, and I think that because those were the mistakes. Taking it back to movies, I think that was the mistake that a lot of these studios, made, was trying to recreate those, you know what I'm saying? Like how they did with the Lion King and the Aladdin and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like those were cringy because, like, you're trying to recreate something that should, like it was good for when it was there. You know what I'm saying? But like it should have just ended at that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that's why, like the only, well, I mean, MCU kind of fixed it, but like, remember when like after the Raimi Spider-Mans, they had like those two like random Spider-Mans with Andrew Garfield. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like I didn't, like that at all. Like, although those were actually pretty good movies. You know what I'm saying? Like looking back, like, but like it was just kind of weird. It's like, why are y'all doing this? It's like
starting over. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
oh yeah, what were you gonna say?
No, it's just like, like even something like a Batman, you can look back on different eras of like Batman phases and you can appreciate them for what they are. It's like a cookbook. Like memories are almost like a cookbook. Like you want a recipe for something that you had before, you can always just dial it back and think about it, like any of those movies. Like I want something that is more of a timepiece of, what's going on in the world. Maybe the Dark Knight trilogy is what you're looking for. Right. I want one that's just like comic book like and just captures all of like the neon vibes. Then it's the Burton Batman.
Dark Knight was actually really ahead of its time because like the Bane thing. Did you see the thing? He wears a mask. He doesn't like sport events.
Shut down the whole city. I thought about that recently too. Like, they could have Batman with like COVID-19 cure on his face as a meme, and like that's him coming into like Bane is COVID-19 or something like that. Yeah. It's wild, man. Like, that movie specifically because it's kind of the same thing when you look at the Joker's approach to, hey, this is how you're going to solve this complex problem. You basically have to choose, like which boat blows up. And it's like, okay, a boat blowing up in the grand scheme of things, a couple hundred people, but it's not the entirety of New York City's population. But in the movie, it was like, man, this is a real freaking deal. Just like this, again, it's like percentage wise, it's not everybody, but it's enough, man. It's enough.
For sure.
Well, that's the conclusion of my narrative. I don't know if you got anything else on the docket for the day.
Nah, man. I think you know what I'm saying. Like, I actually kind of want to do these like more often.
Yeah, we should.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think that going forward, we'll kind of we'll chop it up like off air or whatever about that. But I think we can start putting these out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
not every day, but like maybe like twice a week now. You know what I'm saying? Just for the time.
I'm with it. We talked about that last week. I think we can probably tell everybody they can look forward to some more Don't At Me's.
Yeah, especially like now that we have like videos and stuff like that too, because like the YouTube, let's just pick it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Finally, actually, people get to see us and, you know what I'm saying? Like, see which ones we are and who the fuck,
Right. Well, I mean, shit, like you said it, I think we'll have more of these. Of course, if you want to check us out, keep in the loop, you're going to want to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. YouTube, we just said it, we're putting out more video content, so check us out. Look up Repertoire Network. You'll see the purple R with the 3 dots, like a repertoire of podcasts and content. You'll find us there, and then on social media at the Rep Network. Of course, we got the website too. So the website is therep.network. There's no .com, .org, .net, nothing. Just the Rep.network. You can check us out there to stay in the loop on all things that we're doing.
For sure, man. And follow our personals too. Me.
You know it.
That nigga Chance. That's Mike Silva 20. That's Mike Silva 27. Hell yeah.
Check us out. We'll tune in with y'all. Hopefully, Jock and Gary remain COVID-19 free, and they are in better graces next time. But
especially Jock.
Tune in.
Trying to hear about
I know, I'm scared for the man. But y'all be safe out there. Wash your hands. Socially distance yourselves. Wash your ass thoroughly. But with that, tune in next week or later this week for more.
Oh, hey, Huncho.
Huncho's with it too. All right, y'all. See